So I'm just kind of hanging out uh, in the convertible. We kind of have like a dash cam thing going on. Um, so people probably wonder, he's broke. How can he afford these cars? Um, Valid question, because I am broke. Uh, but first and foremost, all of the cars, every one of them, is paid for. I own outright with titles. So I have no car payments on anything. Insurance is actually very cheap. I have four of the cars. The four classics I have insured with Hagerty. And the four cars run me around $120 a month for all four. And that is with full replacement value, not a blue book value. So if, God forbid, anything ever happens to one of these vehicles, they pay me what the car is actually worth. And Hagerty dictates what the car is worth. You plug in the information and they come back. The convertible, for instance, is worth around $24,000, $25,000. So if something was to happen to this car, that's what I would get. I would not get like $10 because it's a 40-year-old car. That's why I insure them with Hagerty, because they specialize in classics and antiques. The other two cars runs me around $98 a month. And I have those with State Farm. That's Cherry and Black Cherry. Now, Cherry does not have full coverage because she hasn't left the driveway in forever because she needs work, and that's a whole other story. That's a whole other saga. So she costs next to nothing to insure because she's not going anywhere anyway. Black Cherry is technically my primary vehicle, so and the newest vehicle as a 2005. So she costs the most to insure because she's the primary vehicle. So, again, for six cars, around $220 a month isn't hateful bad. And that's for full coverage on everything except for Cherry. So the insurance isn't terrible. Now, I can't afford to get another car. I can't afford to get a seventh car or an eighth car anytime soon. And if I did, I would have to relook. I would have to re-look at the costs. But I've done this enough by now with the purchase of these cars to pretty much know what they're going to cost to purchase / insure / register everything. As far as maintenance is concerned, again, there's this misconception that because they are a Mercedes-Benz and or because they are older, they're expensive. That's absolutely not true at all. These cars, a Mercedes costs no more to own and repair than any other car. The older ones obviously can cost more if you have to replace something. And again, that's a chance you take when I started buying these older cars. There were two things I had. There were two things that I had to come to terms with. First of all, I was taking on the possibility of big expenses at some point if something should go wrong with one of them. Like poor Sebastian over here, who's been sitting for 3 years because I can't figure out how to get him running. He's probably going to cost some money to get back on the road again and get sorted out. And you know, he's not my only car. He's not a daily driver. So I can be patient. It's frustrating that I can't just get in the car and drive him, but it's a beautiful, beautiful car. You don't see that car on the road ever, like ever, ever, ever. I have never seen another one of these. I've never seen another Sebastian on the road ever. So he's very rare. And I know what I've got, so I'm not getting rid of him. If it takes another few years to get him sorted, it takes another few years. I don't, you know, I have patience. The other cars, and Sebastian was my lesson car. Like, he was the first classic I bought. I didn't know the things to look for and the things not to look for and all of that stuff when I bought him. So I don't want to say he was my mistake car, but that was the car. He was the learning car. He was the one that taught me, okay, if you're going to do this again, you need to do things a little bit differently. So when I bought the convertible, which was the second classic I bought, I made sure that it had paperwork, tons of paperwork. I have every repair and maintenance receipt on this car back to 1984. So I know exactly what was done to it over the years. The person I bought the car from, her late husband loved this car and babied this car to death. So it was very well taken care of. It had a very good life. It lived most of its life out in Arizona, where it's very dry, which is why this car has zero rust on it and why it is in such good condition. And it was always garage kept. Its entire life, the entire life of this car has been kept in a garage. The convertible, for instance, I bought it in September of 2020. So it's almost 5 years now. This car has cost me, and I'm not going to factor in things like tires. Like, the first thing I had to do when I bought the car was get new tires on it. That was kind of a given. It was like, it needs new tires. But I really didn't have to do anything else except get it registered. The only things, knock on wood, that have gone wrong with this car since I've owned it is the ignition control module that died. I guess it's been almost 2 years ago now. That cost about $300 to buy a factory. It was a remanufactured original. That was about $300. And then back in October, the engine control module is what was responsible for it running rough. I bought that off of eBay. It was new old stocks. It was a brand new Bosch part that had never been taken out of the box since the mid 80s. That was about $75. The sway bar links that I bought and installed this weekend, $28. That's all the money I've put into this car in almost 5 years. And again, those are age-related problems, not piece of crap. It's a piece of crap car problem. It's a 40-year-old car. Over time, things are going to wear out. In this case, the few things that have worn out the most since I've bought it, or the few things that have worn out since I bought it, have been electrical / computerized components, which, again, those, the things that died it was kind of new technology back in the mid 80s. So, computers die too, so I can't complain. I can't complain about how much any of this has cost. I myself put money into this car when I bought it. I redid the seats, so I bought new seat covers and I bought new floor mats. I did some cosmetic things to the car to make it beautiful, but I did the seats myself. Like, I bought the covers, but I did the labor. So again, I wasn't, you know, I try and do everything to these cars that I can. The wagon is the next one I bought. The wagon has had, I've probably put about $1,000 into the wagon so far. And in its defense, again, this is a it's a 26-year-old car now. And the things that have needed to be replaced, repaired, are from age. The wagon has 232,000 miles on it. It had 210 on it when I bought it. And the reason I bought it with such high mileage is because the car itself had been owned and maintained by a Mercedes mechanic. So I had paperwork that went all the way back to when the car was new in 1999. So again, I can't complain. And the amount of use that I've gotten out of the wagon, because it is such a useful vehicle, is huge. The amount of joy I've gotten out of the wagon. I love my station wagon. I absolutely love my wagon. So, again, there was the hydraulic line that was leaking that had to be fixed. That was the first thing. That cost some money because I had to take it to the Mercedes dealership to fix it because no independent mechanic wanted to touch it. So that did cost a little bit of money. That was about $700. One of the window regulators died, and I had to have a window regulator replaced. That was a few $100s. And again, some of these were things that I probably could have done on my own if I'd felt adventurous enough. But some of these repairs, I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to pay someone to do it because I already do enough to these cars. Let's see. Those are the two most expensive. It needed axle boots a few years ago. Again, that's a wear and tear item. That was a few $100s. And I paid a mechanic to do that too, because that was just not something I wanted to do. I didn't even want to chance it. But then other little things that have gone wrong with it, like the oxygen sensor back in the fall, or, the brake light switch, or, other little things. I do that stuff. I take care of it. I fix it. I buy the part cheap and I fix it. I buy real stuff. I buy good parts. I buy OEM parts from Germany, but I fix it myself. So the wagon, again, not a huge expense, not for the car's age. And when you take into consideration that I don't have a car payment, most people have a car payment of what? What are car payments now? $600, $700? My boss has a big pickup truck, $1,500 car payment a month. So if my wagon costs me maybe $500 for repair, I don't have payments. So, that's the trade-off. Werner, the green car, I've had him for, oh my goodness, it's going on God, I can't believe it. It's going on 2 years I've had that car. The only thing that's wrong with that car, or the only thing that I've had to have fixed on that car was the fuel line. And again, it was a 30-some-year-old rubber fuel line that sprung a leak after 30 years and needed replaced. Because it was gasoline, I did not want to mess with it. So I actually did take that. I bought the part. I bought OEM, genuine Mercedes part. It cost me about $99, I think, for the hose. It was well worth it. I also bought a new fuel. I think I bought a new fuel filter at the same time, because while he's up there, I was like, go ahead and replace the fuel filter. That was like $13. The mechanic only charged me $150 in labor. which was actually very cheap. His labor rates are low. So, you know, a few $100s for the green car. Again, you have to weigh the pros and the cons. And for me, knowing that I'm driving cars that were built to a standard that nothing on the road is today, even a new Mercedes. New Mercedes are shit. I'm driving really good cars, and they're safe, especially for their age. They're safe. They were the safest cars on the road in their day. They still are some of the safest cars on the road, even with all the newfangled shit that is built in the cars now. This convertible would withstand a crash a hell of a lot better than a brand new car, because this thing's actually made of real steel. So, you know, there's trade-offs. But all of that aside, the joy that I get from owning and driving these cars is, you can't put a price on that. And I'm very proud to be their steward. You know, hopefully one day I will pass them on to someone else who will love them just as much, because these cars are going to outlive me. And they've become part of me. They've become part of my identity. You know, Jason's the guy with the classic Mercedes. And I've learned so much about these cars, and I've learned even more about me. I've learned so much about me owning these cars and fixing these cars. And again, you can't put a price tag on that. 10 years ago, I didn't know anything about cars. Nothing. And just in the last 4 to 5 years, I've been changing spark plugs and, you know, just popping the hood and doing whatever, you know, crawling underneath the car and doing whatever. I'm afraid to do most of it. And I watch about 68 YouTube videos first. And I have my laptop out in the garage with me, usually when I'm working on the cars, because I have the YouTube video pulled up and I'll watch it for a minute and then I'll pause it, and then, you know, but I'm learning. And again, it's an education. It's not just an education in how to maintain the cars. It's an education for me. It's an education in, sustainability of not only the cars, but of myself. So I've gotten so much more out of these cars than I've put in. And, you know, I still have at least 6 vehicles on my wish list. Will I own all 12 cars? You know, will I own 12 cars at some point? God willing, yes. Will I have a little bit more money at that point to maintain 12 cars? God willing, yes. Or maybe never. But these cars have taught me something. They're not just a hobby. They're not just a collectible. They're not just something that sits in the garage. Well, except for Sebastian, because he doesn't run. You know, they're not something that just sits and never gets used or doesn't do any, or doesn't give back. They give back. And I think if you're going to have a passion, the passion needs to give back. Because otherwise you might get something out of it, but you're not learning from it. And you're not becoming a better person because of it. So I think it's important that if you have a passion, It's a passion that you actually, that gives back to you. And that's what these cars do. So, you know, when something goes wrong, yeah, you're going to hear me bitch and complain. um, but I always take a step back, take a breath, and remember, you know, I'm getting more out of this than I'm putting in. And knock on wood, thank God, because I have so many to drive. If one car goes down, the biggest worry I have is just to grab another set of keys. I'll just grab another set of keys, and when I have the money to buy the parts, and when I have a free weekend to do the work, I'll do it. So yeah, it's worth it. It's very much worth it. And I'm not sorry for the decisions that I've made when it's come to buying these cars. They really, you know, they've become my automotive children. And I just, you know, it makes it all worth it when I can take the convertible out with the top down on a nice sunny day. That nothing else matters. And life's too short. So if I can still do that, then I'm completely happy.